times from Miami. The cross-country trips were beginning to wear on her, and had also been the topic of her and Chase's last argument. Chase almost never made it to Miami because of his hectic schedule, yet he insisted with each visit that Eve not return to her life in Miami. "Are you crazy? I'm not giving up my condo or career for you. I've worked too hard to get where I am just to throw it all away. My mother sacrificed everything to send me to school. I promised her and I promised myself that I would always maintain my independence. Besides, what happens if this doesn't work? Then what? I'm stuck having to start all over again from scratch? No, I don't think so." "What about a proposal? I love you, and I want you here with me every day in every way." "A proposal for what?" Eve quizzed. "Marriage," Chase replied. "Please, you know you're not ready," Eve had said as she folded her clothes into her suitcase. "Do you love me?" Chase questioned. Eve turned toward him. Her heart pounded as she searched his face for any signs of doubt. "You're serious?" She almost hoped he wasn't. From the beginning of their relationship, Eve had strong opinions and hard-fast rules about a lot of things, but none harder than her position on never becoming emotionally involved with a professional athlete. In her line of work, she'd seen enough cases of athletes and their drama with women, finances, women, babies, women, and more women to be a bit leery. With Chase being just 24 and her being 25, in Eve's opinion, their lifestyle of a professional athlete was in no way conducive to marriage and a family. It was an opinion that was first introduced to her by her mother, EveInez, even before choosing a profession that supported her mother's claims. Eve was the product of a one-night stand her mother had had with a professional athlete. After discovering that she was pregnant, Nadia received even worse news. The man she knew only as Hank was married. Nadia put up a brick wall whenever Eve asked about her father. All her mother would say was that she had had one momentary lapse of judgment that resulted in Eve's conception, but no matter how wonderful it had been, she would never date nor get involved with another professional athlete. In fact, that sentiment had become her mantra, so much so that by the time Eve was old enough to date, she avoided athletes like an STD. Although Eve never intended to date a professional athlete, she'd been fascinated with football all her life, primarily because she always wondered if she could figure out who her father was by studying the game. With 32 teams and absolutely no information about her father besides a first name, identifying him was next to impossible. Eve didn't even know whether her father was black or white, and because her Puerto Rican features were so strong, she knew it could go either way. Try as she might to avoid them, athletes of all sorts pursued her in droves. In college and throughout her early 20s, Eve turned down football players, soccer players, basketball stars, and everything in between before meeting Chase. Eve's desire was to represent athletes, not date them, which was why she started working as a paralegal with one of the largest sports and entertainment law firms in Miami. Eve knew that her sultry Latin curves, naturally sun-kissed blonde and brown hair, and bombshell Sophia Loren looks would make it hard for the men in her office to take her seriously. Yet she didn't let that deter her from accomplishing her goals. Her looks not only got her on the best cases with the most high-profile clients, but also afforded her countless nights on wining and dining. A-list clients insisted that Eve be present at all their events, even if it meant paying for her to travel around the world. She was the tempting carrot at the end of the stick that all the top attorneys dangled in an effort to sign, seal, and deliver a deal. Most women in the firm would have taken offense at being considered the office eye candy, but Eve didn't care. She was on the fast track to becoming an agent, and if using her looks advanced her in that direction, so be it. She was the only paralegal at the firm with an expense account, company car, and endless bonuses for just being pretty. Fuck 'em, she thought, because she was getting hers. And as long as she didn't have to compromise her body or